Hey everybody, it's Ziz here. Welcome to Crowfall Insider, your weekly news source for all things Crowfall. And this week we got to look at actual gameplay footage in the game with real testers playing and killing each other, and it was amazing. There's so much awesome stuff I want to share with you. There's tons of videos out there. I'm going to give you links to all those, but there was also a couple of things that gave me a little bit of pause for concern. We're going to talk about all of that. Plus, we also got an update from the Combat Strike Team Milestone 1. This was a huge 28-minute long video that gave us a behind-the-scenes, in-depth look at their development process, how it evolved over time, how it totally degraded over time as he was busy working. It's really awesome stuff there we're going to look at. And last but not least was the September QA. This is from J. Todd Coleman and Thomas Blair answering questions from actual players on the forums. Lots of awesome stuff. They talk about mods, how big they plan the battle sizes to be, if you can cast in midair, all that stuff, and a whole bunch more. Let's jump right in. Now, I know all of you want to jump right to the gameplay footage and see what's going on, but before we do that, let's take a look at how we got there. And the first part of that was this Combat Strike Team Milestone 1 video they put out. It's over 25 minutes long. It's huge, and it's Thomas Blair and Tully Ackland giving us like a walk-through progression of how they got to where they are now. Over the past 16 weeks, they've been working their butt off, and this is basically how they made the game, what it looked like step by step to get us to the point where we are now. Now, they use this project, it's called Agile, this process where instead of like making the game, like a lot of MMOs are made like you make the engine and then you make all these systems and then you don't really have a playable version of the game until it's almost all put together. Well, with their system here in Crowfall, what they do is they say, we want a combat system, we want a combat test system, and so they figure out all the different things they need to make that happen, and then those are the things that they work on. They don't work on crafting yet, they don't work on all these other systems, they haven't gotten to those yet. They've only worked on these systems to get us here, and the great thing about that is it gets us a playable version, something we can do in the game right away. Now, they have these different sprints that they talk about in the video where there's different parts that they're focusing on in different sections, and in the video it's really great. It's really in-depth, behind-the-scenes video that you never see from any other game company. Other companies are scared to show you this stuff because they're worried that if you see a game with bumps and bruises and incomplete, they're gonna, they assume that people are too stupid to realize that this is a game in progress. And luckily, Ace realizes that they have a lot of backers. They have people who, are gamers at heart that know what's going on. We know this isn't finished. We know that, you know what I mean? And so it's awesome for them to put themselves out there and trust the community enough to show us this development process. And they talk about each archetype, they talk about how they got to it. Lots of awesome stuff. If you're interested in that sort of behind the scenes development process at all, go check that out. It's a really great video. Next up was the September Q&A from J. Todd Coleman and Thomas Blair, where they actually answer questions from real live backers on the forums. And there was a lot of good questions here. One of the first questions someone was asking about mods, making their own sort of campaign rule sets, and they said that they love the idea. That's a great idea. As developers, they like giving people tools to make more of their game for them, basically. I don't know, maybe they're lazy or something, I don't know. The problem is the game right now does not support it, and do not expect this at all by launch. Like, not ever. It will never ever happen. You're not gonna be able to have mods like you would do in Skyrim or something like that, where you can create your own rule sets, your own world campaigns. That won't happen for launch at all. Even after launch, they said it's something that's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of work. If the game is successful, if they have a bunch of money where they can build the game up and do this sort of stuff, it's definitely something they want to look into and they want to do, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. They also talked about battle sizes. Someone asked, how big are the battles going to be? And this was kind of an interesting question because it gives us a good idea what the game is going to look like. They've made these huge keeps and huge castles. If you only have 5 people fighting at them, that would look pretty silly. But J. Todd Coleman says they expect at least probably 2,500 people per campaign that can be online at one time. That's like a server in World of Warcraft for the whole world, basically. That kind of gives you an idea. It's going to be a huge world with lots of people in the world, and with that many people in the game at one time, they expect battles to have hundreds of people, right? 100 or 200 people. Now, they didn't say that they know that's the way it's going to work. That's just something they think that will probably happen. And this was kind of a little strange because you would think they would have talked about this, but they kind of haven't even gotten there. They're gonna build the game they want to build, the way they want it to look, the way they want it to work, and then when they get towards the end of the process, they're just gonna look and see, well, this is how many people we can have and this is how it works. And so we're going to get gameplay that's not compromised, but at the end of the day, I don't know how well performance is going to work. That's something I don't know. Also, someone asked, are they going to have casting in mid-air? Can you jump and turn and spin and all that sort of stuff and throw fireballs in mid-air? And they said simply no casting while in mid-air, but because we're going to get testing, which we're going to get to in just a moment, there's a lot of stuff they want to talk about. And J-Talk Coleman said maybe next month they'll have some more stuff to talk to us about, because now we'll have a frame of reference. We'll have a bunch of video and stuff we can see. So now when they talk about stuff, we actually understand and see what they're talking about, instead of it just going over our heads. And last but not least, they also said there's not going to be any first-person view. It's not going to be a first-person shooter where you have hands like ESO, where you can go to first-person view. It's a third-person view game. Now you can zoom in, and like if you're in a small doorway, it's going to zoom in on you, but it's still third-person, and I think that's great. I hated the fact that ESO spent time and resources making first-person. It's not any good. It is bad tactically. It's bad from a gameplay perspective. I mean, that you want to go RP, go play something else. This is a PvP game. It's third person. They're sticking to it. I love it. And last but not least is the best part of this whole video, the actual gameplay footage we get from in-game. Now first, let me start off and say this is not my footage. This is from Chelvy69 from Twitch, and I'm going to have the link for this video down in the description below. So go click on that, go check out their video, and this is actually the best video I could find. It's 3 hours long. It covered the entire test that happened just the other day, and it's got the best performance out of every video that was out there. Now, a lot of you are going to say performance, who cares, it's pre-alpha. Now, I know we're really excited for Crowfall, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but this is the first thing that I'm a little bit concerned about. In fact, I'm a lot a bit concerned about it because, as we just talked about in the September Q&A video, it seems like they're not even focusing on performance at all. Now, I understand things are going to get better. Things will get way, way, way better than they are now. 10 times better. And the video we're watching is pretty good. This person sits in like 50, 60 FPS, which is great if that's the way the video is going to be. If that's the way the game's going to be at launch, it's amazing. That's all we want. The problem is this test environment is tiny. It's teeny tiny compared to the way how big the game's going to be at launch. Also, there's only like 20 people in this entire map. We just talked about how they want 2,500 people in the map. So the map's going to be 50 times bigger, and there's going to be 200 times more people in the game, and there's going to be 50 times more people on screen. That's obviously going to hurt the performance of the game. Now, like I said, this is the best video that's out there. I want to share with you guys the best. There was also someone else that I was watching, a couple of people that were in the 20 FPS range, right? Not very good. And I'm sorry to say, Valor from LOTD, you may know him from the Crowns and Crows podcast they do for Crowfall. I tried to watch his stream, and the poor guy was at like 8 FPS, seriously, single digits, and not just like once in a while. Like, it was sitting, I don't know if it got better. I couldn't watch any more of the stream, but that is a huge problem that could happen in the game. So please don't just ignore it. Go to the forums, give your feedback, let them know. This is hugely important. Now, the good news, ladies and gentlemen, obviously this is pre-alpha. We're a year and a half from launch. Things are going to get better. And I'm encouraged by the fact that a game like Guild Wars 2, which was a PvE game without a very good engine, right? It's not optimized for PvP. They threw PvP in their game. They had hundreds of people, and it still worked. Was it great? No, not at all. And in that game, they had to make a lot of improvements. But if a game like that, which isn't even focused on PvP and just throws it together, can make it work, you have to think Ace. The Crowfall developers, who know their game's PvP, have got to get their stuff together and make it workable. So I still am a little bit worried. I'm always worried about performance in a PvP game. But look at this. It looks amazing. It looks wonderful. Now, some of you might be wondering why is it in black and white? Why is the whole world gray? Well, we talked about this a few times. It's a gray box environment. What that means is these are the models. This is the way every single game looks before they add the textures over it, the color and the designs and all sorts of stuff. This is what it looks like. And the reason they left it like this is because things are going to change. They don't want to spend all the time and resources of having an artist make all the, graphics for it and then putting it in game. And also, when it's going to change, when door sizes are going to get bigger and smaller, and walkways are going to change, and the keeps are going to change, and the trees are going to, all this stuff can change. And so they don't want to waste time and resources putting stuff in that they're just going to have to rip back out. So this is a gray box environment. I actually think it's kind of fun looking. I mean, the game looks amazing. It really does look great. You can see this is a confessor that Chelvy's playing here, and they have some of their animations are so good. They like dash forward or to the side, and the animations look great. Now they're running around looking for these chests because in this Hunger Dome you spawn with basically no gear. You have like basic starter gear, but you want better gear, and so they're looking for gear in these chests. They're looking for items. They're staying together as a team, which is really great. And then you can see when someone dies, it has this big flash of red light. You see who died and who killed him. It pops up on the screen, and it's just like the Hunger Games. They throw a bunch of people in there, like 30 or 40 people, and then you kill everybody and you just try to survive, and the last people living wins. Now on top of that, they also have the hunger mechanic, which if you look in the far distance you can see the gray clouds kind of swirling, and there's even a blue, sort of blue hazy mist that you see every once in a while there in the video, and that closes in over time pretty rapidly all the way down into the center. In the middle of the keep there's this blue sort of portal thing, and it collapses all the way into that. And so right there, we just saw the Confessor use their C ability. It makes them immune. People can't hit them. They can run through anything they want. Lots of awesome gameplay. I mean, it's super exciting. It looks really good. And remember, they basically threw this together in like 16 weeks. Like, they had some assets beforehand, of course, but 90% of this, I think, they basically made in 16 weeks. That's unreal to me. This game looks better than some games that are already out there. Like, I'll be honest, I would rather play this PvP than ESO PvP, and that game was in development, has been out for a year. Like, this looks fun, it looks interesting. I'm a little worried about how every time you attack, it completely stops your character. You don't move at all, right? And so if someone is just running away and you try to attack them, they just run right away from you because your character completely stops while you swing your sword. The great news is Thomas Blair on the forums, there was some concern about this. A lot of people giving feedback, watching the game, playing the game, and Thomas Blair said they're aware of that. They're going to be adding some more stuff. They plan on adding lunges, so when your character swings, they move forward in a pretty good, reasonable space where it would kind of help you catch up. Now, if the person is using mechanics to dodge and roll away, to sprint, to like teleport, obviously you're still going to get away. But if they're just like jogging away, someone can't like backpedal and like moonwalk away from you, right? So that's pretty good, but it looks amazing. I haven't got to play yet. Again, this is Chelvy69's content. I'll have the link for that down below. It looks amazing. It's 3 hours. Go check it out. You've probably already left. Nobody's here watching anyway. I don't know. I'm just talking to myself. That's it this week for Crowfall Insider, everybody. We gotta look at the Combat Strike Team Milestone 1, a behind-the-scenes, in-depth look, and let me know, what do you think? Do you think it's awesome that they share this sort of information, that they show everybody how the game progresses? Are you worried that Totally looked like he was about to die halfway through that video? Or are you worried that people are gonna look at this and think the game doesn't look very polished because they don't get that it's in development? That's something that could happen. What do you think? Let me know. Also, we gotta look at the September QA. Lots of interesting stuff there. Mods, battle sizes, casting midair. How do you feel about the fact that they haven't even really talked about how big they want battles to be? I would think that would be a huge part of your game. You have to decide how many resources stuff takes, right? Like what the animations and what the graphics and how intensive they are to support the size of battles you want. But it seems like they're not worrying about any of that. They're just making their cool, fun game, and whatever happens, happens. I don't know about that. And last but not least, we got to look at a bunch of tons of awesome gameplay. People are playing. I'm jealous. I want to play. Remember, they're inviting Alpha 1 players into this test as well. And so invites are going out like every few days. They're having lots of tests. If you have an Alpha 1 part of your like backer package, check your emails because they're inviting you. Hopefully I'll be in the next week or two, and then I'll have tons of content. We're going to review every single class. We're going to review all the abilities. We're going to have lots of stuff. Of course, I'm going to try to win that Hunger Dome, and it's looking great. I'm super excited. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'm going to have a link to all of these, including this awesome gameplay from Chelvy. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.